Hey, this is Annabelle and Sarah. Welcome back to Navigating the Shift. We thought that we would have a look at a follow-up to the one we did before on non-soul players, the characters that you usually find within the program, which we have had last time discussed, possibly that there are human beings out there that, although they look like perfect human beings like the rest of us, they are actually part of the matrix, part of the program. So we thought we'd follow up on a story that Sarah told us last time, and you've got some new news on that.
Yeah, I know it's a crazy idea, and it's something that both you, Annabelle, and I have just been sort of wrapping our heads around recently, but it keeps coming up. So I guess it's time to explore it and learn about it. So the client that I'd worked with maybe 4 weeks ago, we had an experience. She had a sibling who was a major player in her life, just to remind you all, and she had gone through a between life regression years ago, 6 years ago or something, and was really surprised that she didn't find her sister's soul in the pre-life planning meeting. And I said, okay, well, let's go look at that again. She wanted to look at it again. And I was like, all right, I get her personality, all that. Okay, let's see if there's some kind of soul agreement you don't know about. So I said, there's her soul. No, there's no, where's the soul? And I was like, how do I say this to her? This is a really goofy idea. But I put it out there. I said, it's possible she may not have a soul for you to have a soul contract with. And she was like, oh boy. But we worked through it and it seemed like, yeah, that's possible, And so just earlier this week, we did another session, and she had made, the reason we talked before was she made a lot of huge changes in a very dysfunctional dynamic in the family. And since then, it had just everybody's shifting and getting weird, and mom's in a coma, in an induced coma, and everybody's changing their behavior significantly for the better. And all this information is coming into her, so she wanted to talk about that. And so we looked at.
Can you tell us the change, the change as to what suddenly changed everything?
Yeah. I don't know a whole lot of the details. What changed was the sister had a lot of abusive actions, behaviors to the family, and the family just sort of said, okay, just push it under the table. That's just the way she is. She'll calm down and we'll get through this episode. And this last time, my client said, I'm not going to be abused like that anymore, and just called on it. I mean, seriously called the police on it. And the family was in huge, oh, crap, oh, God, you shouldn't have done it. What were you thinking? And a lot of stuff went down. And since then, with the mother being ill, seriously ill, the sister has changed her behavior and is being really nurturing and loving toward the mother. And the father, my client had to leave the area, but her father's calling her on the phone going, your sister's behavior has totally changed. She's being so great to your mom. And, all this.
Responsible.
Responsible, kind, loving, like a real human, So we went back and we looked at her pre-birth planning agreement now that this change happened. Previous to that, I looked at it, was like, oh, your family. So there was a huge family line of this pattern that my client came in to say, no, I'm putting an end to this. This isn't going forward. And the sister was a catalyst in a way, in that she set up the repeated pattern. And
repeated into other generations, you think?
She repeated it into the family. It was repeated from other generations, plus the sister did all these repeated actions that created the sort of the dynamic of the family dysfunction. So we went back and looked at it, and we're looking at the scene. And one of the things that was so cool about this is we were both just watching the same event and the things happening. And she's in Ireland, I'm in California. And it's just the idea is, oh my God, this is where communication is going. Right. And this is where our abilities are heading. If everybody can do this kind of stuff, I want to live in that world. It's awesome.
We won't need Skype then, will we? Or provided once we get to the point where the audience, you guys watching these videos, you won't actually need videos anymore because Sarah and I can tune in and you can watch.
Yay! We won't need Wi-Fi. Hey. What is it? Instead of internet, it'll be internet.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah.
So we were looking at the pre-life planning, and it looked kind of the same as when she'd done it before. And then she said, oh, my sister's waiting in the doorway. And I saw her there, and she was looking kind of sad and pitiful. And I was like, she wants to come in. I said, okay, do you want to invite her in? And she said, yeah, I mean, well, sure. And she invited her in. And as she came in kind of slowly, and then we both went, oh, and I said, she's changing. Look at her. She's growing. Look at how big she's getting. And she started really kind of small and kind of like wimpy, like, oh, came in and got big, and then got like big and sparkly even. It was just so much fun to watch this soul enter into the dynamic, and it changed everything. It was just really cool. And my client said, well, why didn't I invite her in before? And before I could even think, I said, she wasn't there before. And we both got our tells at that moment, which she was shaking. I was tingling all over. And we were like, whoa, what the hell does that mean? And she
we
wasn't
just
there,
invent
but she
somebody.
did. Yeah. And we're continuing to look at it. It's like, okay, when you change a huge pattern like that for a whole family, it goes forward 7 generations and back 7 generations as well. So with that
Is
pattern,
there a limit on that? You know, I mean, it's
that's
a
what they
ripple
say.
effect,
What
right?
the heck? Let's go back
Wherever is necessary.
7,777 generations.
Yeah. It's a ripple effect that affects everything continuously.
So because of the shift, she was now, and her whole family had joined her on a new timeline.
Right.
And in that timeline, that dysfunctional dynamic didn't exist in her family, so they didn't need this particular body to come in without a soul, so it doesn't have a consciousness or karma or soul level, conscience, there's the word, and to replicate the pattern. So now, in the new timeline, this body got to have a soul in it. And like we were both just, this is so true, and we're both tingling and shivering, and it's like, boy, it's an interesting thing to grok that we can actually play with time and parallels like this.
Now, I understand that people are doing this kind of work all over the world, even if they're not talking about it. Just the fact that you can do it different from the pattern before, whether you think it's your own pattern or whether you have no idea that it's actually a family pattern. So it kind of sounds like in that case that you've got this family that has maybe had a lack of worthiness or something that they need abuse. There's an abuse and they just allow that to happen. You know, it's okay, just let it happen. And then you only need one person in the family go, no, it's not okay. We're worth more than that. We deserve to be treated better than that. Stop. And the minute, I mean, that's just you're using one example here, but it can happen in so many different areas of life. If we go, this pattern is stopping right now, whether it's verbal, physical abuse, whatever, stop now. And that it changes everything, and it changes your whole family is just so amazing. And also you're talking about the mother getting ill as well. That's really interesting to happen immediately afterwards.
Yes, and just out of the blue, kind of surprise. And the words I got was that she was recoding.
Right. Okay.
Things were being recoded within her. And
is she the representative, being the matron of the family, that she carries
the
baggage?
Definitely. She described her as the matron. She's very much the matron of the family.
She's carrying the baggage, which now is being healed. But it also gives an opportunity for the sister, the brat sister, to step up and learn. It's an opportunity, isn't it, to be responsible for others when they've all been responsible for her for such a long time. What did you say about the doctors?
Said that 5% of the mother's brain has been damaged, and we were speculating that maybe that's where that old pattern was encoded into her brain, and now it's gone. And so the other part of it is, she said, looking forward, I am going to that whole old pattern does not exist anymore. I'm not going to be watching my sister and waiting for her to react.
Right.
I'm not going to expect that to happen and keep my guard up. I am just going to say,
because that keeps the story running. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that looks like very much like what my own guidance gave me, my future self, which was, pattern yourself on your future self instead of your past self.
Yeah.
You're walking this way. Look forward. Of course, we haven't been able to do that so much, but as the veils of illusion thin and we start to be able to play with time more, we can do that. Because why would you want to pattern yourself or make yourself be the person that you were 10 years ago who was so messed up? You know, why don't you be the person you will be in 10 years from now?
Yeah.
Or, think about that's who I am.
Well, you have so many
way better.
you have so many people that go around telling the story of their past over and over and over again, and of course it just keeps them on the same railroad track. There was a really lovely story that Mercredin gave me one time of the Tale of Tales. That you have this big long dinosaur tail. Have I told you that one before? Big long dinosaur tail out the back. It's your long tail, right? And you drag it along, and you have to keep going in the same direction because this tail is so heavy and so long. And if you want to try and change direction and do something differently, it's really hard work. And so you literally have to cut off the tail. Just stop telling the stories from the past, and then suddenly, you're short and you're able to pivot much more easily to a new direction. It was just a really lovely story.
I like it. Yeah, I remember a person I knew whose father was the only one in the family who survived the Nazi Holocaust, all of that stuff. And there was a huge drama and dynamic in the family on that. And then he told me the story about his father being the only one who made it.
Oh.
Cheer. With $17 and didn't speak English, came to America. Cheer.
Right.
And I thought, oh God, this guy, he's got so much emotions and he's really
rehearsed.
feeling it. That was the first time I saw it.
Right.
By the second and third time I saw verbatim,
story.
word for word, cheer at the exact same moment each time. By the time last time I heard that story, I was like, okay, I need to go to the bathroom. Excuse me, I think I need to puke. It's just, oh my God, this isn't. It's just the same. It's not feeling. It's just emoting. It probably no soul in there as I look back on it.
Well, either that or just continuing to head down, and he doesn't know that there's any other option. So
his tail is long.
It is
and heavy.
Cut it off. Well, cut it off. Okay.
That's our tale for today.
If you want to change direction, stop telling the stories of the past. That's the cool thing, isn't it? And you can do it for your whole family. That is so amazing.
It's magical. Magic has been a theme that's been popping up in my life recently. So
cool.
I like it.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.